friends, welcome to the Point. In this session, we are discussing about conservation and management of ocean resources. Ocean resources is also called as marine resources. It can be classified into following categories. Marine biological resources. The ocean is rich in food resources such as animal resources and plant resources. Animal resources includes fish, crabs, prawns, zooplanktons, etc. And plant resources include phytoplanktons and seagrass. The seas and oceans, it not only has a food resource and it has some non-food resources like corals. Marine resources include mineral resources like metallic minerals, fuel minerals like petroleum, natural gas, and construction materials. The ocean provides us with energy resource like petroleum and natural gas. Oceans provide non-conventional energy resources like tidal energy, wave energy and biomass energy. So there is a need for conservation for marine biological resources. Why? Because as there is an increase in population explosion, it is necessary for the conservation of marine resources as the fish population is decreasing due to overfishing that is taking place, and this leads to reduction in production of fishes in future. Conservation of marine resources. Measures should be taken to reduce and to treat effluents that directly directed into the marine waters. The two formidable problems in conservation of marine resources are international character of marine resources and equal right of all countries for their use. High mobility of marine organisms. These are the main problems that arises during the conservation of marine resources. It is necessary to enact the international laws and to enforce them strictly for sustainable utilization of marine resources. It is necessary to enact international laws and to enforce them strictly for sustainable utilization of marine resources. And some following points should be noted while making the international laws. There is a need for effective laws that is related to exploitation of deep sea resource. Serious ecological researches should be undertaken for marine biological processes in both chemical and physical manner as required. The endangered species of marine organisms, mainly fishes, it is verging at the extinction due to overfishing. Marine farming, it includes the process of productivity as well as reproduction, breeding and production of certain sea animals by making them captive in certain localities of seawater and feeding them additional nutrients. Management of marine resources. There are certain things you have to follow for the efficient management of marine resources. There should be regulated exploitation of marine resources. One should have the knowledge of the quantity of resource available, including the process and the rate of regeneration of biological living plants, animals and resources, so that exploitation of the resources can be planned according to it and regulated. Efficient management of marine resources can be done through a survey of fishing areas by maintaining a static mapping of the breeding places of fishing and determining their numbers. Proper arrangement of canning and refrigeration for storage of fishes. Efficient methods and techniques of fishing. Steps should be taken to develop breeding and rearing of certain selected marine organisms, ocean husbandry, marine pasture for the sustainable yield of marine resources. Maintenance of seas and ocean free from pollution is necessary. The major source of marine pollution is discharge of wastewater, sewage and toxic chemicals from urban areas and industrial establishment of coastal areas into the seas. Marine ecosystem. Oceans cover nearly 70% of the Earth's surface. Oceans and the major seas are connected. Together they form a wide variety of ecosystem. Living organisms found at all depths in the water mass but with a decreasing density. In marine ecosystem, physiochemical composition of water, that is saline water, oxygen content, light and temperature differ at different levels. Depending on the availability of light, the ocean environment is divided vertically into photic zone and aphotic zone. In this photic zone, light is sufficiently present and photosynthesis is possible in this zone. In aphotic zone, it is completely dark and photosynthesis is not possible, and only non-photosynthetic fungi, bacteria and some animals are found in the aphotic zone. The waves and tides that are produced by the pull of the moon and the sun is also the influence of marine ecosystem. Coastal ecosystem. These coastal zones, it includes estuaries and coastal wetlands, river mouths, bays, mangrove forest and salt marshes. Here the sea water, it mixes with the fresh water with nutrients from rivers, streams and the runoff, and hence this region is fertile together with a plenty of sunlight. Coastal saltwater wetlands are the major breeding, nesting and migration areas for birds and animals, because these wetlands, they protect coastlines from erosion and they reduce damage from storms and cyclones. The flow of the groundwater through coastal marshes, they prevent saltwater intrusion that would contaminate the wells in these areas. Wetlands, they control flooding by holding excess water and releasing it slowly. They help in recharging groundwater and also purify by trapping and holding pollutants in the soil. Coastal areas and its protective measures. The Department of Ocean Development, Department of Environment of central and state governments, coast-based industries, Navy, non-governmental organizations, port authorities, civil authorities of coastal towns, it should be included in the coastal zone management strategy. Measures should be taken that municipal and industrial waste should be treated before it is allowed to join the sea. Soil erosion in coastal land, it should be checked by suitable control techniques. Recreational beaches should be maintained as per the hygienic and aesthetic standards. Permission should be taken from the environmental impact assessment before incorporating any offshore and onshore structures. The existing legislations like disallowing structures within 500 meters from the high tide line should be enforced. Agriculture in fertile delta lands needs to be scientifically managed so that harmful impacts of the pesticides can be reduced. Coral reefs. Coral is a polyp and it is an organism that lives in shallow sea. Its skeleton, it is composed of limestone and dolomite. The layers of deposition of the skeletons of these polyps form a shallow rock known as coral reef. Coral polyps, they thrive in tropical oceans, that is confined between 20° north and 25° south latitudes. These are found in tropical oceans and seas because they require high mean annual temperature that ranges between 20°C to 21°C for their survival. Several coral polyps, they live at a place in a group in the form of colonies and they form a calcareous shells around them. And since coral polyps, they cannot survive above water level, coral reefs are found either up to the sea level or below it. These are generally attached to submarine platforms or islands submerged under seawater. The coral reefs are more diverse than the tropical rainforest, and that is why the coral reefs are called as rainforest of the oceans. Types of coral reefs: fringing reefs, barrier reef and atoll. Fringing reef, it is a coral reef which is attached to the shore either as a continuous wave washed erosion platform or separated from the coastline by a shallow lagoon. Barrier reef, this is elongated accumulation of corals that lies at the low tide level parallel to the coast but separated from a wide and deep lagoon or strait. Great Barrier Reef, that is located to the parallel to the east coast of Australia, it is the largest of all the barriers of the reef present in the world. Atoll, a ring of narrow growing corals of horseshoe shape and crowned with palm trees is called an atoll. It is generally found around an island or in elliptical form on a submarine platform. There is a lagoon in the middle of the coral ring. Coral bleaching. Coral bleaching means loss of algae from the corals that results in white color of corals, which indicates that the coral is dead. Coral reefs and their biodiversity. These corals, they are the most important animals that are found in groups in marine organisms. They are generally called as rainforest of the oceans. The coral colonies, they provide different types of habitats for different marine organisms. Most sea fishes, they lay eggs in the coral colonies. Corals are the base of marine biological community. The marine biological health depends on the richness of the coral. If there is a less coral in the ocean, then we can say that the biological health is very weak. Coral bleaching, it is caused by global warming and it is consequent upon deforestation and rapid rate of industrialization. Ecotourism. Ecotourism means it is the management of tourism and conservation of nature to maintain the balance between the requirement of tourism and ecology on the other hand. Coral reefs are ideal venues for ecotourism. Characteristics of ecotourism. General characteristics are all nature-based forms of tourism. So, tourist motivation is important. So, when the ecological balance is maintained as well as the traditional culture prevails in that particular region, then the tourist motivation is being maintained. This ecotourism, it includes educational and research features. It is organized by small groups that are specialized, locally owned business groups. It minimizes negative impact upon the natural and socio-cultural environment. It supports the protection of natural areas by generating economic benefit for host communities. It provides alternative employment and income opportunities for the local people. What is the role of oceans? Seas and oceans, they have different varieties of biotic and abiotic resources of two types, the land and water masses. The rivers that drain through the land areas of the lithosphere, they bring different types of materials into the seas. These materials, it contain mineral elements of different types, plants and animals. It is said that the oceans are the vast reservoirs of biotic resources. Oceans and water cycle. The total volume of water in the oceans and seas, it will be constant, and this is because all the water evaporates from the earth's water body. It is returned back to the earth by the process of condensation and precipitation, and indirectly it is overflown by the streams from land surfaces. Oceans and seas, they have a huge amount of water, and when this evaporates, it forms clouds and condenses and returns back to the ocean and land by the means of rain, snow, hail, etc. And hence this process of water cycle from earth to oceans and oceans back to the earth is known as water cycle. Oceans with huge collection of water is responsible for water cycle on the earth. Oceans and supply of food. Marine food resources, they are divided into two categories. Protein rich food resources, that is used for the food for human beings, example fishes, prawns, etc. And animal feed mainly for domesticated animals. Sea fishes as a source of food is very beneficial as they contain plenty of protein and amino acids in the right proportion. Vitamin B12 and a very little quantity of saturated fat and cholesterol is present in fishes, and thus it helps in reducing high blood pressure and heart diseases. Planktons are floating sea plants and animals that live up to the depth of 200 meters from the sea level. Plant planktons, they are called as phytoplanktons. They produce food through the process of photosynthesis with the help of sunlight, water and atmospheric carbon dioxide, and thus they are called as primary producers and they are known as autotrophs. Vitamins and drug resources. Man uses marine organisms to make vitamins and medicines to cure different diseases. The physical and chemical properties of marine organisms like crabs, seaweeds, sea cucumbers, barnacles, horseshoe crabs, sharks, cods, etc. Shark oil and cod liver oil are used in energy tonics. Oceans and regulation of climate. Oceans, they regulate the climate on the land. the climate of the coast, it becomes warm or cool depending on the current moving along the coast, which may be warm or cool. Temperature. Warm or cold ocean currents that flows near the coast and it exerts a significant climate influence. The warm equatorial currents, it rises the temperature of places where they flow. Rainfall. The air above the warm ocean current, it becomes warm and it acquires a great capacity to absorb the moisture. Thus, the winds help in increasing the amount of precipitation in the affected coastal areas. Fog. Dense fog occurs where the warm cold current ocean meets. The air above the warm current is warm and it acquires a lot of water vapor, and when it meets the cold air above the cold ocean currents, the water vapors of the warm air gets condensed into minute water particles which form the fog. Violent storms. These storms, they follow the line of meeting of cold and warm currents. The hurricanes that occur off the coast of the United States, they follow the line where the Gulf Stream mingles with the cold currents. Oceans and mineral resources. The metallic and non-metallic minerals are found in the oceans in two forms. Example, minerals that is mixed with seawater in solution form and the minerals that is mixed with ocean bottom deposits. Minerals that is dissolved in seawater. In this category, salt, bromine, magnesium, gold, zinc, etc. it is said to have 1 cubic kilometer of seawater, and that has 41.25 million tons of solid materials in dissolved form. Minerals of sea deposits. Mineral deposits on continental shelves and slopes are monazite, diamond, platinum, sulfur and building materials like sand, gravels, boulders, etc. India has largest reserve of monazite. World's 90% of the monazite is present in Kerala coast. Manganese nodules, these are the most important minerals that are found in ocean deposits. Manganese nodules, they have nickel, copper, cobalt, lead, zinc, iron, silicon, etc. Natural gas. Continental shelves in the oceans, they have deposits of natural gas. It is a fossil fuel which is found along with the petroleum in oil wells, and some oil wells yield only natural gas. Millions of people use natural gas to heat their homes, cook their meals, dry their laundry, and many industries use natural gas for heat and power. Natural gas burns easily to produce heat. It is smokeless fuel and it is a non-polluting fuel. It is supplied directly through pipes for domestic and industrial use. Natural gas is also known as compressed natural gas, that is CNG, and recently it has been used as an alternative to petrol or diesel in automobiles, and this gas is very eco-friendly gas. Over 3/4 of India's natural gas, it comes from Mumbai High. Natural gas reserves are found at Kaveri offshore as well as in Kutch offshore in Gujarat and in Krishna Godavari basin off the coast of Andhra Pradesh. That's all for the session. Thank you.